Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. We've got Hal's engine here, finally cleaned up. This was probably one of the dirtiest internal motors I've ever had. It took a lot of multiple washings to get it clean enough to assemble. Okay, Hal's crank came out 2020. We got our 20 mains in here. Make sure you put your little pins in there first, and all the bottom. And we got our rear main seal in. Make sure your lip is always facing in. I think you can see that. I've seen guys put them in backwards and they leak real bad when they're backwards. That lip towards the inside of the engine. And we are ready to set the crank. And I have pre-measured everything. We don't need to plastic gauge this. I have pre-measured everything. You could either measure or you could use plastic gauge if you want to check your oil clearance. And everything is measured out perfect. So we are ready to set the crank. Okay guys, we're going to put some assembly lube on the bearing shells. And if you've been following along, you know I switched over to this gel a bunch of engines back. I like it better than the runny stuff. Get a little bit on our rear main too. It stays in place, and if you're not going to start your engine for a while, it really hangs in there. It doesn't run off. It's a little more expensive than any of that stuff you just kind of, that heavy oil, but I think it's worth it. And we're going to get all these guys lubed up, and the crank is ready to go, and we'll drop that in. Make sure you get a little bit just on your rear main there. You don't want a dry start up on that. Carefully drop the crank in. I got something going on there. Bolt is holding up, hanging there. Sometimes when your bolts stick in, it doesn't drop in. Okay, there it is. So now we'll lube up the caps, put the caps in, Molly lube the bolts, and torque them down. Okay guys, all the caps are on. Plenty of lube. And we're going to take our ARP Ultra Torque, and that's going to be our lube for all the bolts. This will give you a truer torque. You won't have to overcome friction and stuff. So every bolt gets a little bit on the threads. Sometimes you can put it under the head of the bolt too. I have pre-oiled these as well, so they're not going to need that. So we'll get all these bolts and we'll torque these down. And this assembly lubricant should be used on your mains, your main bolts, your connecting rod bolts, and your head. When you put your nuts on the studs, a little bit of this on the stud will give you a true torque. This is a very common thing to do, but I never see it. Like in Gary's engine, there was no bolt lube on that or anything. It's not I don't see it a lot in Jeep engines. You see it in a lot of other performance shops and stuff. They always use that. They got jugs of that stuff hanging all over the place. But I didn't see any on Gary's engine. Usually don't see it on anybody's engine that comes in. But it is critical. You will get a true torque. And, you know, a lot of times you got to overcome friction and you only got maybe half the torque you want on there. This will give you true torque. So a little bottle of it goes a long way. It'll do you plenty of engines. But critical thing when you're putting an engine together to make sure you're getting everything torqued properly. Okay guys, just checking this one last time for torque. 75 foot-pounds here. Like I said, we already pre-measured for oil clearance. And after you're done torquing your crank, it should spin easily by hand like this. There's a lot of guys that put cranks in and then they call me or email me and they're like, I can't turn the crank. And that just means, yeah, we're hitting the engine stand. That just means that you don't have your oil clearance right. So critical to get the oil clearance correct, and it should easily move with your hand like that. Okay guys, made some real good progress on Hal today, and while we still have some time, I'm going to try and get Gary's guide set to the right height. You've seen me use these two tools before. That sets the intake, that sets the exhaust. I think you can see our intakes are not down far enough and our exhaust isn't down far enough either. We're going to reset those. Hopefully they won't break or crack or anything. I'll take a look at that, and then let's go over here and take a look at an engine, just a junk engine. Okay, see how they're all at the same height on the inside? That's what they're supposed to be like. And they give that spec in the manual because they want the proper support for the valve. If they're not set far enough, the valve will hit it. If they're set too deep, it won't support it properly. Yeah, an engine will run with them in the wrong place, and an engine will run with a lot of things wrong, but it won't be a long-lasting engine. And that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for long-lasting engines. So let's see where we're at in the exhaust. We can go down about another eighth. Yeah. Let's see the intake. Okay, we got practically a finger space there. So we're gonna set these properly, and we'll continue on with Gary's rebuild and Hal's rebuild and Mark's rebuild. And I'll try and bring you footage of all of them, but we're going to get set up and press these in now. Okay guys, I'm set up on an intake, and I'll try and stay out of the way of the camera. Let's see if these press in okay. Let's see what it says. Okay, that didn't go too bad. Wasn't crazy pressure on that. It went in like it should. Got another intake right next to it. Seems like if you do a lot of L heads and F heads and stuff, you'd have some tools made up like this. I mean, you can't go wrong. Once you machine the tool properly, you're going to set it to the right depth. So, why this came out of that shop like that, I can't really understand, other than perhaps they don't know better, or they've never rebuilt an L head or an F head or anything. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be right. But like a lot of things on that engine, it's just a mystery. I mean, that's crazy, the amount that's off. Doesn't really take much time to do things correctly. There's our final exhaust. Just bump that where it needs to be. Let's turn this around and take a look and see what it looks like now. Okay, I think you can see already. Look at that. What did that take? 2 minutes to get those in properly? And they're all perfect as they should be on the inside. And they're the right depth from the head down, from the top of the deck down. And that will support the valve perfectly. And like I say, there's just no need to get that wrong. But, you know, that doesn't really matter. We're making it right now. And Gary, you're going to have a good engine when you're done. I'm taking care of all the things that should have been done that were not. And we're making it right for you. Okay guys, I'm all over the place today. A lot of stuff to get done. Here was the culprit for the military wrecker, the air pack. This one went bad. I had the other one for quite some time, but just got around to putting it in. And after I fixed the hydraulic leak yesterday, I got that in. So let's take a walk out there and I'll show you what we got. Okay guys, I don't know if you can see it, but that was leaking. Lost some fluid yesterday. Got to just top off the tank today, maybe a gallon or two. I put the air pack in yesterday, and it wasn't the most pleasant job, but let's see if we can see what we got going under here. Okay, there it is. And I got up real early this morning, and I bled the brakes. I was able to do that by myself. And then took it for a rip on the road, and it goes fantastic. It stops, drives, and shifts and everything perfectly. Real happy with it. Let's get in here. Hang in there. So the brakes are working. I got my Myco brake lock working. So everything is coming together. This is now, you know, there's always something to do on these old guys. Sure could use a window to replace that cracked one. But there's always stuff to do. But now I feel it's safe enough to get a hold of that steam engine and move it safely. So that's why I was doing all this. But it does travel down the road nicer. I used to have an old M62, and that went pretty good on the road, but nothing like this 816. This one goes, and now that the brakes are working, it stops perfectly. So it wasn't too bad. I knew this had a few issues when I bought it, but just a tiny bit of work made it super good to drive, and now it's ready to lift, and there's plenty of jobs around here for it to do all the time. So I still gotta kind of get this. The first time I swung it around, I hooked onto this and it's all up and I can't swing the boom, so we got to get that smashed down a little bit, but other than that, she is ready to work. Okay guys, we got a pile of stuff here for Brian. I got this stuff taken apart already, so we're just going to quick take this in the back. Got a lot of nice days coming, so we're going to get all this stuff sandblasted. I have his transmission transfer case already finished, and I want to get this stuff buttoned up for him so I can ship it out to him. So we're going to dump this down in the sandblasting area. We're going to come back, we're going to get Chuck's stuff, and we're going to do Brian's and Chuck's stuff at the same time. So I'm going to run this back, and then I'll show you what Chuck sent in, and we'll get Boogie on his stuff too. Okay guys, we're getting into Chuck's axles finally. It took a little bit longer than I thought, but we're getting them unpacked here and brought back, and I'm going to sandblast these quick with Brian's stuff. If there was ever an award for best axle packing, shipper, lashing down person, Chuck would have it. Look at all these straps here. Axles didn't move a bit during transport, perfectly safe, and he had it shrunk wrap and everything. Hell of a job, Chuck. Chuck did leave a package in the center, well packed again. And let's go in the shop and see what Chuck sent with the axles. Okay, carefully packed between those axles was some Patron tequila. Thank you, Chuck. Let's see what we got here. Hang in there, folks. Alright, there she is. And Chuck put a note in there. Let's take a look, see what Chuck says. And I'm not much of a drinker, Chuck, so if you could tell me how to drink, because you might shoot this stuff straight, but I don't know if I can handle that. So if you mix it with something, let me know. Anybody out there drinks Patron tequila, let me know your favorite way to drink it. It's new to me. Like I say, I'm not much of a drinker, but sure am going to give it a try. Okay, Chuck says, Brian, please enjoy my favorite drink. Hope it keeps you and your friends warm until summer gets there. Well, you remember how it goes, Chuck, if you watch my videos. Everybody's gone from the shop. There's no friends and no nothing around here anymore. I'm a one-man show, and nobody's welcome back here. So we'll just make believe it's keeping everybody warm. If you don't mind, when you're done and they're on a pallet, please christen them with one shot. You got it, Chuck. Not a problem at all. But don't forget, let me know how you guys drink this stuff. And we'll give it a shot, and then I'll get Boogie in on your axles, and won't be long before we're christening them for the trip back. So I got to get back out there and get those. I don't know, it feels like there's 15 straps on there. Hell of a job, but I got to get those off, get them in the back, and I think tomorrow or next week's going to be a good sandblasting day. I'm not sure. There's some rain in the forecast, but we're going to get those everybody's stuff sandblasted so it looks very nice when we paint it. So thanks for the gift, Chuck. We'll keep moving on with this video. Like I say, some days just get kind of crazy and everything needs to happen at once. But I need to keep moving on everybody's project if I want to get them out the door. So a little bit of everything in this video, but hang in there with me. Okay guys, we're still jumping around the shop. I've had Mark's engine soaking for a while. We had about 1/2 inch of movement, and it looks like it's foaming up real nice, so I think it's doing its job in there. And like I say, you could take a hammer and beat these things apart, and then you're going to spend a week fixing cracks after you busted the block and this and that. So if you take it slow and easy and you soak it a little bit, it'll generally get you there. Let's see if we can get this thing moving. Okay, she's still a little snug. You see how that camera's doing? It moved a little bit. Okay, let's see if we can get it going. Sometimes it moves and sometimes it gets stuck. Oh, there it goes. Let's see what we got. Look at that. There she goes. Make sure you can see that. Alright, we're just getting some movement on these guys. Some real movement. Okay, we did not get too much further than that. Let's bring it back the other way. Okay, it's starting to get some travel on here. That junk is coming out. We're starting to get a little travel. It may be enough for me to get the pistons out. I'd like it to spin all the way around, but it doesn't. It feels real hard right there. So, we're going to keep letting that soak. We're probably going to go after the valves next, see if we can get some valves out of there, because I think the valves are screwing us up as well. They're loose, but I think they're screwing us up a little bit. But we have this on the run. You know, it's not great to get engines in like this. I mean, this is about as bad as they get. But I do want to do a good job on this one, so I'm not going to abuse it by taking a big hammer and a punch and banging and breaking those pistons out of there. So we got a couple inches of movement, and obviously the soaking is doing it good. It is freeing it up a little bit. We probably have a lot going on in there. That cam I know is shot, but if I can get the valves out next, I think that'll take a lot of load off this engine. Maybe we could turn the crank all the way over. So we're going to dig into this a little bit, and I'll show you where I get. Okay guys, I got 6 of the valves out. These 2 are probably going to have to get cut out. I was able to get the keepers off, but there's no way I can move those valves. This one is stuck hard, and that one I can't really get moving too much. So, not a big deal. We'll cut those out. I think I'm going to try it again and see what we got. I think we'll be free now that those valves are out of the way. Okay, I think you can see that. See all those junk in the cylinders. That foam, that's all from my solvent there. The liquid that I put in there to free up the cylinder. But it's moving freely now. Now I can knock the pistons out. And again, I'm going to have to cut those valves. I don't know what these head studs are going to be like. They look like some of them are going to be a real bear to get out. But we're just going to keep moving on this. Mark, if you're watching this, I didn't get your oil pickup yet. And if you have anything else for this engine, you know, send it along. I'm going to try and keep moving equally on all the engines in here so everybody gets their engine in a decent amount of time. But if you have anything that you know I need for your engine, if you could send it to me, that'd be fantastic. But I'm real happy where we're at. We didn't really have to do any sledgehammering or anything like that I see all the time, and she's finally spinning. It took a while and it took a lot of soaking, but it's better to soak it than make a mess of it. So we'll let this one sit, and we'll move on to one more project. I might as well hit everybody's today, and I'll show you where we're at on Jonathan's frame. Okay, here we are in the fab trailer. I have John's frame flipped over, and I was just finishing up some stuff here on the bottom. A couple of welds. Most of this frame I TIG welded together. There's a few areas that I'm going to, I moved the MIG machine in here. A couple areas I'm going to MIG weld, but most of it is TIG welded. Got the bottom welded. Everything else is ground in. It's welded there. We've got some patching to do there. The bumper is on for good. The spring hangers are on for good. Just carefully TIG welded those guys in there. Oops. And now let me get back here, I think. Got a nice straight frame rail there. And a nice straight frame rail there. The frame is sitting very nice. We've got to change this guy out right here. We'll get this cut out on both sides and get that welded in. And we're gaining on it. A little bit more to do in the back, and it won't be long. We've got one slight wrinkle here. I got the frame rails where I want them. I'm not going to really tamper with that too much. I don't think we need to address that. And everything else is just looking good. I got this area in here straightened out pretty good. And aside for some patching, you know, that side took a beating. We'll patch that all in. And everything's looking good. So, shouldn't be too much longer, and I'll have this back to you, John. I just wanted to show you most of the hard stuff is done. The frame rails are in, bumpers on. Everything is nice and square, straight, and it's coming out real nice. A little bit of patching to do, and you'll be ready to come grab it. So hang in there. It's been a bit, but I'm jamming on it now. Okay, guys, late in the day, just checking on the cows one last time, getting them a little bit more hay and some grain. And we got to check on our little guys in the barn here. We got some egg layers starting, and we got the meat birds in here. Just a few weeks old. Just make sure they got enough food and goodies. Those white guys are the meat birds. Got some Rhode Island Reds starting in here. They're all clustered up in the corner. Looks like they got enough food for the evening. So we covered a lot of ground today, worked on a lot of things, made some progress on everything, and just checking on the animals. And I got to hill the potatoes a little bit, and I'll show you that, show you how I'm doing the potatoes this year, and we'll call it a day and head inside. Okay guys, this is a potato patch this year. I'm growing them in hay this year, trying something new. I just instead of hilling them, I just put some hay around them. And we've got a pretty good patch here. And they're coming up pretty vigorously now that the weather's turned. And we're not gonna I didn't bury them in the dirt, and I'm not going to run the hiller over them and keep hilling them with dirt. So we'll just keep adding hay as we need it to the side of them. And it's a little early to hill them right now, but it'll keep the weeds down and stuff. And we got a lot more trees going in. This whole area will be filled, the entire thing, with trees eventually. But we're just getting a little bit at a time. But the potatoes are taking off real good. And I got a bunch of them in here. And I got some over here by the chicken area. Got some fingerlings over here, and they're coming up pretty good. We'll have to throw some hay on these guys in the next few days or so. But they're coming up nice. And can't have the steak without the potatoes, right? So got a good batch of potatoes going this year, a lot of fruit trees going in, and making progress around the farm a little bit at a time. Okay guys, almost forgot to top off my hydraulic reservoir. There's my can of hydraulic oil. We are in good shape on that. I gave it a test run. No leaks. Everything works as it should. Stopping good. And everything's going good with this. So we covered an awful lot of ground today, and that's just a typical day around here. A lot going on all the time. And I appreciate you guys watching, hanging in there with me on the different projects. And we're gonna call it quits today. So yeah, as always, I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next video.